It's a myth, especially if you're starting something and leading something that, I'm stopping right now. It's my minimum. I'm going to do it right now. It's like, I never say, you can't do it in the middle of a battle. I hit my 8 hours.
Right. I'm clocking out.
Good luck with the rest of the battle, guys. Hope the hand-to-hand combat goes well.
Yeah.
No, you might be there for 18 hours. It might be an all-night thing. It might be, a couple days of just nothing. But at some point, it lightens up or you get rotated out. And then you go back. The smart ones, my dad immediately gets good food, takes a shower, uses a rare restroom, and then goes to sleep because another fight could break out.
And you got to be ready to go.
And so what I meant by battle balance, how I took care of my wife and how I'd encourage anyone who's leading something and anyone who's starting something early on.
Yeah.
If you try to artificially cut it to 9 to 5 or whatever, you're probably never going to get the business really going. Even in the battlefield, you're on the lines. Yeah, you might not be in hand-to-hand direct, but the fire called out, you're still there. He always said, change your socks every day. Change your socks because one of the worst things in combat is you get that trench foot, you get it's like they get wet, they get this. You get a nice dry pair of socks on and it helps you. And that's what I think everyday time with your family.
Yeah.
It may not be, hey, I want some more focus time. It would be nicer. But if I change the socks every day, we'll be okay.
Yeah.
We'll be okay.
That is super tactical practice. That's great advice. Welcome to the first episode of Brick by Brick. I'm sitting here with my pastor, Bill Bush, good friend, somebody I look up to, and really am grateful that he's here. He started Rock Point Church 25 years ago, been in ministry for how long?
35 years.
35 years.
Yeah, 36.
And so, when we're talking about Brick by Brick, the whole idea of this podcast is we're trying to impact one person with one conversation, one opportunity at a time. And we're trying to make sure we make a difference in their life and how we show up. And so this is really a podcast for the stories of people in the community that have built businesses. Yeah. And, I view planting a church very similar to building a company. And so what I want to do is have you on and talk about your journey, what you and Carrie went through and how you built Rock Point and how you started and what your pain points were. And we're going to get into all that. But, for those of you who don't know, Rock Point is a really, really big staple in our community. I live in Queen Creek. And everybody there pretty much knows Rock Point. But for Jennifer and I, it's been us coming home to church. Mm-hmm. I was raised Catholic. She was raised LDS. Mm-hmm. We kind of separated from our churches and then didn't go to church for a while. And we walked into Rock Point, and both of us were like, oh, this is home right away. And I don't know what it is about Rock Point. We've brought people there, and they seem to have that same... What is it about the church where people come in and they go through a service and they go, oh, no, this is it? Because you had to have heard that before.
Yeah, it's my incredible good looks.
That's
no,
what.
Just kidding. It's not that. It's
it's your sense of humor. You're pretty funny.
I think we just try to be real and go after what God wants us to do. And I think the secret sauce is we never wanted to just be a church that went into a community. We wanted to be a church that was a part of the community. Very similar to what you're doing. Here. Like, hey, we just didn't want to start this business. We wanted, you understood that a business is still people.
Yeah.
You're in the people business.
Yeah.
It's relationships. And that's what we did.
Yeah.
And I think that's what people sense.
Yeah.
They sense that we're not some church that's gone into an area and it says, hey, we're over here. We got it right. You need to change your lives and get over here with us. It's more of like, hey, we're all together.
Yeah.
God created us. And what does he have for us? What are we supposed to look at? And how do we talk about real life? Meet people where they're at.
Yeah. And
where they're struggling, where they're at, and then take them where they need to go, which is exactly what you do.
Yeah. Yeah.
You meet people where they're at
yes.
and go, hey, where's the goal? Where we need to go?
Right.
And a lot of times a church, and many times businesses don't make it, they don't think about it being people and meeting them where they're at.
Yeah.
They think about, come over here where I am.
Right. How do we morph you into our thing?
Yeah, and how do we get you to do this? And,
yeah.
And it's you take people by the hand, you get to know them, and you go, hey, where do we need to go?
I could definitely sense that. You guys are very authentic, and we've been very impressed by that. We've been there this is our 4th year now. We were very impressed by how you handled the election. That's a very polarizing, tough time, I'm sure, for churches to go through. We weren't there in the early years, but tell me about the beginning time when you guys started Rock Point, because you were 31.
Yeah.
And what was that like going to Carrie and saying, hey, we're going to leave our job and go move and start a church?
Well, what is shocking about our story is my wife is by far the not aggressive, like I want to go outside of the safety zone and all of that. I mean, she's courageous and all these things, but she normally, like, she loved being in ministry. She didn't have a problem with marrying me, knowing that's what I was going to do. And well, I was already doing it. But what shocked, and the whole reason Rock Point came around was I got to be 30. What I was doing at my church. I had a lot of responsibility. I was doing a lot of teaching, and I started to get noticed and get pursued by a lot of churches. They were smaller, older churches.
You were preaching at this time already?
Yeah, but we had started, one of the things I did was we had started a midweek kind of a thing that was more like a little bit deeper, kind of a Bible teaching service, and I was the one that did that. And I oversaw all the adult ministries and everything like that. And so everyone saw that I was probably going to be a lead pastor. And I kind of knew that's where I was probably wired to go. But smaller churches that, like, they came after, like, hey, we want this guy. And the problem is they mainly want to hire a young guy because they want to get younger again. And what my wife figured out right away when I was interviewing at these churches, like, they think that if they just bring us here and don't change anything, they'll just get younger. They want to stay the same. And they just think that we're going to automatically attract younger people.
Yeah.
And I'd interview, and she sensed that. And when we were talking about it, there was one church that was up in Big Bear, California, which is a resort ski lake kind of town, only about 45, 50 minutes from where she grew up. And it was the biggest church in the town, and they really wanted me. And then they said, hey, we run it. This group runs it. You just got to be like that chaplain preacher guy. And I guess I was a little burned out because I thought, that sounds fun. It sounds easy. I could live in the mountains here.
Yeah.
And we went out to
have
lunch.
Like wealthy people.
Yeah. And that's what it was.
Yeah,
we went out to lunch. She goes, no, I don't think we should do this. I go, why? She goes, you're not really going to be the guy that can cast vision and lead. They just want you to be the guy that's going to make it younger and keep it going. And I'm like, so what are you saying? She goes, what I'm saying is if you go here, they're going to hate you in 6 months. I'm like, what? I go, is that a compliment? She goes, yeah, and you'll hate them because you'll get relaxed and then you go, you're going to want to lead it. And they're going, no, we didn't bring you here to actually do anything. We just want you to do what we want you to do.
Right.
And
Intuition.
she was right.
Yeah.
And so I go, well, what do you think I should do? And she goes, I can't believe I'm saying this, but I think we should start a church. And I go, why? Wow. She goes, because at least you can dig your own holes that you have to climb out of. And she meant it as a compliment.
How long have you guys been married at the time?
Let's see, 31. We got married when we were 21, like 10 years.
Oh, wow. Okay. So you guys,
we got married.
Each other really well.
Yeah.
Did you have kids yet already at this point?
Yeah, we had 2 kids.
Okay.
Yeah. So we had, so it was like crazy enough. I knew it was God telling me to do this because my wife would never say, let's quit the secure income and go, especially because we were living at the time. I grew up in Arizona, but we lived in Orange County, 2 miles from the beach.
Wow.
The church I was at looked out over the ocean.
Oh my gosh.
And it was beautiful. And we had lived there for 6, 7 years. And how my job had positioned and then what she was doing, we had a house. We'd only had it for a year. We finally were able to get a house. And what our incomes got to is we could actually afford to live by the beach now. Just barely, but the stress was off, like, oh, we're not dying here.
Yeah.
And in the midst of finally getting that, she said, I think we should move and start a church.
Goodness.
And so, honestly, I think I was a little bit more scared about the lack of income and doing all that because I felt responsible for her and my kids.
Yeah, well, of course, right. As a provider, as a husband and father, you want to make sure that.
To be honest, what you do, that was the only fear I had in planting a church.
Was providing for your family.
Was financial.
Wow. So how do you combat that? Because I got to imagine there's a lot of stress in trying to, it still blows my mind how you guys prepare for a sermon every week. And so, there's got to be a lot of stress in, trying to be there to serve people in the beginning and trying to make it about your mission to spread Jesus. And then you're still worried about how we're going to eat and,
Yeah.
Well,
it is hard. Preparing the message, it was funny. I just said this 2 nights ago.
Yeah.
Because I'd been gone traveling, doing
the
some
message
leadership
in Africa
training.
was amazing, bro.
Yeah.
That was so cool to see.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
And so then I was going, I got to get back into writing message mode. And I looked at my wife because we got married when I was still finishing college.
Yeah.
And then I did grad school.
Where'd you meet Carrie?
I met her at a church that I went to help at once I went off to college. And it was my youth pastor from high school in Scottsdale that had went there. He went there to be the youth pastor. Right when I left my senior year, he left, and I started driving. I was about 45 minutes from the school I went to. So I started driving out and interning and helping out. And then by 19, I was the 6th and 7th grade pastor, part-time.
Wow. Yeah.
And I met her at that church. That was the church she grew up at.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, so it was like I was just telling
And were her parents were like in ministry, or they were like she'd been going to church, like she was.
No, she grew up in church. They weren't in ministry, but
Okay.
she grew up going to church.
Okay.
I mean, when she was little, they started going to church, and so
Okay.
she grew up in church, and yeah, and so it's like funny. You asked the stress of how do you do all this. I just told her, I go, it's weird that I preach because I like the verbal part. I'm good, but you basically are preparing a research paper every week. And then you're just presenting it.
Yeah.
The presenting part is the part I like. I hated every second of school. I went all the way through grad school, but I hated every paper. I hated writing papers.
Yeah.
And it's crazy that I basically write a 10-page research paper every week.
Is that how much a sermon is? 10 pages?
I think if you verbally speak it out loud, yeah, the length is, I bet it would be about 10 pages.
What blows my mind is I go to the 8:30, so I feel like we get like a really nice, fresh message. Like I've only been to a couple other services at Rock Point, but like, do you deliver this? Is it the same every service?
No, it's the same basic message.
Yeah.
But I don't write a lot of notes down. I do all my prep and I'm ready for it. And I have written down, I put on a little half sheet and I just tape it in my Bible so you never even see it. And I hardly ever look at it.
Yeah.
It's just more of a security blanket. And really, I used to not have any notes up there at all, but there's been two things that changed. One, I started putting more stuff on the screen. So I had to put that on and I highlight that in green. Green means screen. So I can remember what I told them is on the screen.
Okay.
And then second reason was a number of years when we went when we went from 3 services on the Sunday to 2 and 2, and then we ended up at 5. I didn't have any notes, and I asked my wife one of the services, like it was the 3rd or 4th service, hey, how'd that go? What'd you think? And she goes, it was great, but you told a story twice.
In the same service?
Yeah, and I go, no, I didn't. She goes, yeah, you told it in like 9 minutes later, you told it again. I go, that was the last service. She goes, no. And I realized when you do it 4 or 5 times and you don't have anything written down, sometimes you lose track of what you said one service versus the other.
That's crazy.
So my little teeny note list is I just put the main things that I plan on kind of saying. And it's more of a mental checklist that I'll look at every now and again to go, okay, that's where I'm at.
Yeah.
So I don't goof up or something. But yeah, so that's how I do it. I just map it out that.
But do you prepare every week? So every week you write a new one?
Yes.
Wow.
And then what happens that really changes it is since I keep, I like any illustrations I use or stories I tell, I only plan my open and my close one. Anything in between is spontaneous. It's where I think it needs something as I'm talking to the crowd.
Wow.
So sometimes I'll tell another story I won't tell in another one. Sometimes I'll tell one and I'll just keep it, but it'll vary a little bit. That's why my timing can vary by 3 to 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And it is the same. And the best thing is one of our camera ladies, she likes to, instead of only volunteer for one service, she goes every other week and she does all 5. And she likes doing all 5 because she enjoys watching how it's subtly different each time. And then part of it is I kind of know the vibe of each service. Like I know my 8:30 crowd is a lot more of my Saturday night, like 3 o'clock and 5 o'clock. They're a little bit more of the churched people. 8:30 is a little bit more church. 10 is all over the place. And 11:30 is all over. So I kind of know who's in what room generally. So I will...
Little tweaks.
I'll tweak it a little bit here and there.
Do you ever get like a big reaction on a Saturday night and then be like, oh, I'm definitely going to say that way?
Yes.
Okay.
The problem is if I spontaneously say something that's kind of really funny or something, I don't go back and write it down to remind myself. It has to accidentally come out again because every time I forced it, it just doesn't come out the same.
It just bombs.
It just bombs. It's like it comes out as like, man, why did that work? I was like, oh,
do you love stand-up comedy, or like, are you a fan of comedy?
That's part of what I learned how to communicate.
Yeah,
when I
it's
teach
very
guys,
funny. Like it's genuine. It's not like they're not.
So
like,
when I teach people about how to be a better communicator, I go, hey, you can learn a lot from watching a good stand-up comedian.
Who's your favorite?
I love Nate Bargatze.
Nice. Yeah,
he's just, because you know what he does? He tells stories, and he tells them like a real person.
Yeah.
And he just makes it funny. And that's really what I try to do. When I tell an illustration, I'm just trying to, he just talks about something that happened.
Yeah, it's very basic stuff, but
and all he does is he makes, well, part of it is he notices the nuances.
Yeah.
He notices these minor points that you pull out. And that's really the subtle. People go, how do you get so many stories about your life? I go, everybody has these stories.
Dude, you do have the best stories about your life, though. Yeah. Like the story about you and your dad at the baseball game.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh, that's such a like. There's been a few of those where I'm like, whoa, like.
My dad gives me a lot of good stories.
Yeah, you could tell he was a big role model.
Yes,
in your
very.
life. And my dad is in my life, so it's very connects for me a lot. So, so when you're in your process of preparing each week, this is just one more question I have, and then I want to get to some of the like heavier stuff. When you're in your process of preparing for the sermon every week, like does it start Monday and then you kind of go through progressions and you kind of get ready and build and build and build? Is there ever like a week where you're like, oh crap, it's Friday night and I don't feel like I got this? Like, does that ever happen?
I'm kind of that in between. Like I'm kind of the guy that could just let it. I prepare a lot. Like some guys sit down and they study straight through a couple days straight, and it's all sitting at a desk.
Yeah.
I need to sit still to do the research part, like dig into the Bible, whatever passage, what topic are we in, and do that research part. And I need several hours to do that. I'm actually, the one thing that I've always been good at is I'm faster than most. I don't need 9 hours of studying. I can dig into something
and
dig pretty deep and go pretty fast.
Yeah.
And I've only gotten faster as I've gotten older because I've been through the Bible more.
Yeah.
But then I usually think about it. I'm very verbal. I used to like talk it out loud to people all week. So they go, oh, you're preparing your sermon, aren't you? I test a story.
You're like
on
testing
people.
it on them?
So when people go, how long does it take to do a sermon? I go, I don't know.
Do you do that to Carrie?
Yes,
like, stop
she used to be my number one. She knows what I'm doing.
Yeah.
She's a good sport.
That's so funny.
But what I finally realized is years ago, I go, I need to make this a little bit more formalized, because when you have a team and you have stuff on the screen, you have the worship teams trying to prepare around it, you got to get a little bit more.
Yeah.
So what I started to learn was, and just like if you're trying to lead a team, if you're building a business, the right room is always better, is what I say. That means the people you put with you, if you get the right mix. The way I lead is I don't just go up on the mountaintop and come down, thus saith me.
Right.
I put the right people on my team. We're in the right room. And I might have an idea, but I believe the better plans come when you get the right room. And so I just think leadership should be that way. I mean, I make final calls. I could say, no, I don't think, but the reality is I'm stupid if I have not surrounded myself with people that are not exactly like me.
Yeah.
They're gifted in different ways, but they love what I love. We're after the same goal. Why wouldn't I listen to their ideas? And I think it's the same with preparing a message. So what I do now is I don't think about it. Wednesday morning, Wednesday's my study day. I stay at home. Everyone else is gone. And I by the end of Wednesday, no matter how long it takes me, I come up with a basic outline. I have my idea, like I got the content pretty drilled down, and I try to word it, but I'm not sure if I like the way I've worded it or organized my thoughts, but I just get it to the point that it's solid.
Yeah.
I would say I get my message to the point that most people would say they're done. But then I send it to this team of people that we gather on Thursday morning. It's the first meeting in the morning I have on Thursday. And I go, here's what I got. Here's what I'm not confident in. Here's what I'm looking at. And I say, and also my one team that's really good with wording stuff, look at the way I worded the points and see if that's worded really well, or should we do that. I have my theology type people that get it, go, hey, make sure, hey, am I pulling out the right, like check my work, kind of like a mathematician.
Yeah.
And then I got my communicator type people, like, hey, here's where I'm kind of, and I give them more of an annotated out, like it's almost like a transcript, not full. It's like about 3 or 4 pages long is all it is.
Wow.
And then I take that outline, and it used to be we had a meeting on Thursday morning where we talked it through and they gave me advice. I've learned I'm so verbal, and it's easier that I was spending so much time in that meeting saying, here's what I'm going to say so they can understand in order to help me.
Yeah.
I go, why don't we skip that step? And so I show up Thursday morning, we go into the sanctuary, I pull my note, I put my timer on, and I say, here's kind of what I want you to look at. Here's what I might ask 5 minutes of just right off the bat, just to warn them. And then I just preach it.
Oh, wow.
And then they sit there and give me advice on, hey, that was good, that was solid, or hey, you need help there. And then sometimes when I say something out loud, I'm good at verbal. Like this last week was the worst one I've ever done. I had to do my sermon on a Tuesday because I was busy all day Wednesday. I hadn't looked at it till Thursday morning. I got up there and I opened and I had this plan that I'm only this week, I'm only covering 5 verses. So I was going to make my points as I read the verse. Like, read the verse, make the point out of that verse.
Yeah.
And I read that first verse as I got up. Sometimes you got to do something verbally sometimes to figure out this isn't working.
Right.
In your head, it sounds good.
Yeah.
But I said it, and I was like, I stopped after one more verse. I was going to stop and do this whole point. I just stopped in the middle of my open. I go, this isn't working. I'm going to read them all. I'm calling it audible right now.
Nice.
So I interrupted myself, and I did it. And so then after, it's like, I got one of our guys, he's our creative arts director. He's on our executive team. He does not like to get up and actually communicate, but he's a brilliant communicator, and he is the best coach. And he'll listen to you and help you. And
Wow.
he helped me well. He goes, hey, this story you did at the opening, because I wouldn't split it for opening close. I'd keep it because sometimes I do that. I start a story, and then the end of the sermon is I finish it. He goes, I see what you're trying to do. I think that should stay together. I think it should be your close. And then I think this story you told here, did you tell that on purpose? I go, no, it was random. He goes, you should move that here. And
Wow.
then I think you started kind of serious, and it is a serious topic, and you never do that. I think you should open with a story about a time where you were even trying to do the right thing, and the day just got worse and worse.
Yeah.
Because I'm talking about Good Friday.
Okay.
And how do you call a dark day good?
Right.
And so I said it took 5 minutes. And I typed it up, and I go, I got a good story for the open. I got this. Good, I'm done. I'm done with my sermon.
Wow. Then do you look at it again on Friday, or
Yeah,
do you
pretty
give
much.
yourself- okay.
What I'll do is I head over on Saturday a little early.
Okay.
Because I just got
But it just lives in you.
And I'm thinking about
Yeah.
it, and then what I do is I go after I've done it out loud. I type up my final version of get my thoughts together,
Yeah.
and then I think about it, and then I usually can let it go because I did it verbally and I did that,
Yeah.
and then Saturday before I go preach, I usually get there about 30, 40 minutes before I need to be there, just to sit quiet and look it through again,
Yeah.
and think about it, and
Nice.
then I do it. So yeah.
It always comes out great, man. The message at Rock Point's always solid. We really do enjoy going there, and we get a lot out of this.
Well, I'm glad you like the humor because I
love the
try to put humor in there, and it's like
Sometimes Jen and I look at each other and we're like, "That was great." Like the Star Trek impersonation was like.
I can do a couple impersonations.
Those were
That's
so
about
good.
it.
Those were so good. Okay, so let's talk about the journey, right? Like
Yeah.
taking us back to the beginning of starting the church. Obviously, it was Carrie's idea. You took the lead. You moved your kids out to Arizona. How do you go from starting a church to what I see? It just blows my mind. How do you go through all of those transitions? From the beginning, where did you guys start in terms of where did the church begin?
Well, a couple things.
Okay.
One thing that helped me survive this, I'll jump right ahead on
Yeah.
this and say, because I think it'll relate to who's probably listening to this.
Yeah.
How do you the finance thing, to go back to that? Because
Right.
that was, you jump in, and the problem is you have nobody.
Yeah.
And the only way you usually start church is almost like if you're starting a business, you got to get collateral backing, either get a loan or get investors or get that. Well, the way you do that in starting a church is like being a missionary. You go to all your friends and family in any churches, and you try to get them to support you for a couple years.
Oh, okay.
Well, the church I left, they loved me, but the lead guy they didn't understand this idea of church planning. So he thought it was great to say, hey, why don't you just slowly hand off what you're doing and don't worry about your job right now so you can spend time raising your support and get ready to go. And we'll do that for a month and then you'll leave. It doesn't take a month to raise a salary.
Oh, yeah. No.
It could take 6 months or longer.
Sure.
And so we didn't have any time. Wow. So I raised about 40%. I actually did pretty good. I raised about 45% in 3 weeks.
Wow.
But it was a little bit scary going, and then I had retirement. I had some in there that's one thing the church has been doing, and I made a tactical decision, which a lot of people start a business, man. I cashed out my retirement in order to help me fund.
You were all in.
It helped me pay myself so I could survive for that first year and a half. Wow. And because it took 6 months before we launched. Now, the blessing was the day we launched big enough that between what I had raised for support, the church could afford to cover the other part to keep me on at least the bare bones salary. So I was paid from day one. I was able to support, right? I didn't have to do that. But the fear was that, yeah, I always had that fear. But the nice thing about the fear is I was responsible with my money.
Yeah.
So I didn't have any debt.
Oh, good. Okay.
So when we moved, I moved from California. So I cleared up over $100,000 off my house way back then. The house I bought only cost $165,000. I didn't do what a lot of Californians do, replace the same house payment, because I know that you don't necessarily make the same out here.
Right.
And so we were able to live cheap.
Nice.
And so we not only were able to make it, even though it was tight, it was really tight. I had two little young kids, they were real small, and my wife for the first time, as they were small and were the stress of planting the church, we were able to make it through, is she didn't work at all those first 5 years when we planted the church. She was able to just help me, like, support, be the be able to be involved in moral support and be there and not be drained, and our kids were able to pour into them. So, and the big deal was, one, I had some retirement that I could invest in, which I knew I had to get that back at some point. Yeah. But secondly, by not having a lot of debt and being responsible with money set me up to do it. If I had a lot of debt, it wouldn't have worked.
No. Yeah, you can't be over.
And that's what I tell people. I may be in the church business, but I still am in the financial counseling business.
Oh, for sure. We get great,
because I'm thinking, hey, God has a plan on what we should be doing.
Right.
And so I am sharing that.
Yeah.
And I realized I had to do it myself. Otherwise, I wouldn't have made it. I wouldn't have been able to do it. And so yeah, that was stress. And then how we started was the hard thing is, so that was a stressful thing, but not the end of the world. The end of the world was, okay, God, I'm doing what you asked me to do, but it is like starting business. I think the Lord has plans, but He brings the power, but you got to step into them. There's stuff you got to do. You got to be responsible. So I did all the things that you do to start a business. It's like, I don't have a product I'm selling, but I got to get to know people. I got to get relational. I got to get involved in the community and then build all the pieces.
Do you remember your first day? Okay.
I remember when we moved out there, we knew where we bought a house, but the house was being built and it had a community pool. So my wife and I were living with my parents at the time, but they had moved all the way to the Peoria. So it was about a 55-minute drive.
Oh my gosh.
So we would get up 3 days a week. We didn't do it every day, but 3 days a week. We would get up, and especially like Saturday, we'd be there. We'd go on the weekends, and then like midweek, we would get up early and head out, take my kids. We would go into the area, and I would meet one of my guys on the team that moved with me. He actually rented a house in the area, and we'd go to the pool because there was nothing around. I lived in Power Ranch. There was nothing around.
Oh, yeah, Power and Queen
So
Creek
we
back
moved there,
was...
and as our house was being built, we would go hang out at the pool with my kids, and I'd just meet people. Moms would come in, and they'd have their kids. So what are you doing here? They'd look at me like, why is a dad here? And I go, at least I have my kids. I'm not a weirdo. And I go, well, I'm here
my wife's
starting
right
a church.
There,
Or sometimes she wasn't even there, but I at least have my kids. But yeah, we started a church, got talking about that, and we started a Bible study in the clubhouse that was right there where the pool was.
Oh, nice, in Power Ranch.
Yeah, and so then I would invite people to the Bible study.
Nice. And those were like the first people that started with
Yep, that's what I did. I just met people
crazy.
That way.
Did you have this vision when you started, or did this kind of unfold?
Yeah, unfold. Yeah, they're playing. Yeah, well, I knew the principles. The principles to plant a church is you just got to get in the community. You got to start something. You got to get interest meetings. You got to get.
But did you and Carrie ever talk about in the beginning like it's going to be? I mean, because Rock.
As big as it is.
As big as it is. Yeah.
I never thought. I never said it wouldn't be big. I didn't. I didn't have a set.
Yeah.
My wife will tell you different. I just thought I think this will go well if God called us to do it. I had people going. I mean, every ministry I'd been in as a youth pastor always grew. You know, I am kind of a driver a little bit. I'm high I, really inspirational, but that's kind of a closet driver. You just want to get stuff done. You just want people to go with you.
Yeah.
And so I'd rather run with people rather than run over people.
Nice.
But if you won't get out of the way, eventually I will get the gas. Goodbye. But she'll tell you, she goes, she always knew it was going to be large.
Wow.
She just knew.
Yeah. Women's intuition.
Yeah.
A wife's intuition. What did you and Carrie do early on to make sure that you guys were successful? Because you guys, some of my favorite sermons are when you guys are up there together and you guys talk about your marriage.
Oh, yeah.
And Carrie, I always liked Carrie a lot, but then I loved Carrie when you guys had that one sermon where she was vulnerable and she shared the story about taking your son into church.
Oh, yeah.
And I was like, I love her. Like, I was like, I cannot believe that was so cool. But like, it's hard, right? Like, you're probably putting in a lot of hours. There's probably a lot of stress. Like, how did you guys manage it at home so you were able to still be an intentional dad and see your kids and not be absent, and then also be there for her? And like, did you guys communicate well? Like, what did you do well that?
Well, part
led
of
you to
it,
this?
by her not having to work, that helped alleviate. So
Okay.
it's not, we're not both
Grinding.
totally overwhelmed.
Yeah.
Although the kids kind of drove her a little bit insane.
Yeah.
But we didn't have an office. So our extra bedroom was my office. So we were around each other all day.
Oh, wow.
And so we would hang out, and we would have lunch together almost every day. I'd just
nice.
stop and we'd just eat lunch,
Yeah.
you know. So that helped. By
Okay.
being in there, it helped. And choosing to
It's
be
not like you're
intentional.
down at the church for 80 hours a week and she's at home with the kids and then you're having
No,
to- Okay.
no. I don't think that's good. I mean, there's times when I was there a lot.
Yeah.
But her gifts is like service. Like, she's not the typical lead pastor's wife. Like, if I didn't bring her up there to talk about stuff, a lot of people wouldn't even know who she is half the time. They would know her if you're serving stuff because she's always involved in stuff.
Yeah.
But she was a doer. So there was times she was down at whatever we were doing. Because like for Easter, especially when we're in school and you had to do all the setup, she's a design person. She designed our whole look at our facility.
Yeah. It's incredible.
And so she was always working on that. Well, those are the things, I'm not any good at that. I'm the one that has to speak at all the services. So there would be times where I saw her, I stayed home with the kids, and she would be there for 2 or 3 straight days,
Oh, that's so cool.
getting the layout for Christmas and bringing all the stuff in and
Yeah.
doing all of that. So yeah, so it just go back and forth. And I think and I think if you start a business, you kind of have to you need to have boundaries to protect your marriage and your family. But I think people have this idea that boundaries is I set this daily schedule that's exactly, I'm going to do this 9 to 5, exactly like this. When you start anything, what I've learned, every person I've known that started a business, it doesn't work that way.
Yeah.
You need to have a balance, but a different type of balance. I call it battle balance. It's like a battle rhythm. I learned this from my dad. Like you said, you like the stories I tell about. If you
Yeah.
don't know, my dad was a professional athlete that then went off to war. He went to World War II when he was a teenager, 17. And then he ended up back in the military, served for 23 years. He in 11 of it was during war, and 5.5 was he was literally in combat, leading men. And so he was in World War II, Korea, and Vietnam. War hero.
Wow.
And he learned in leading men in combat. He looked at me when I was doing ministry and he said, listen, you better get some battle balance in your life if you're going to cut this. Because he goes, this is like warfare. Starting anything like this, it can throw you into where you got 80-hour weeks. And then but then what you got to learn how to do is once you finish that and the fight calms down, back off and do everything you need to do for recovery and rest, because there's another fight that'll be coming. In other words, he would tell his men that he'd leave. Like some of these young guys, they would be in this total fight, and then they get done, and they're all messing around. And he used to say it this way: eat, sleep, and poop whenever you get the chance. He didn't say poop. I had to kind of church it up. And he meant that, hey, and take care of yourself
Yeah.
whenever you get the chance. In other words, you balance. It's a myth, especially if you're starting something and leading something that oh, I'm stopping right now. It's my minimum. I'm going to do it right now. It's like, my dad would say, you can't do in the middle of a battle. You know, oh, I hit my 8 hours.
Right. I'm clocking out.
Good luck with the rest of the battle, guys. Hope
Yeah.
the hand-to-hand combat goes well.
Yeah.
No, you might be there for 18 hours. It might be an all-night thing. It might be, a couple days of just nothing. But at some point, it lightens up, or you get rotated out. And then you go back, and the smart ones, my dad immediately gets food, good food, takes a shower, uses a railroad restroom, and then goes to sleep because another fight could break out.
And you got to be ready to go.
And so what I meant by battle balance, how I
Yeah.
took care of my wife, and how I'd encourage anyone who's leading something and anyone who's starting something early on.
Yeah.
If you try to artificially cut it to 9 to 5 or whatever, you're probably never going to get the business really going. But if you go 12-hour, 14-hour days and you keep doing that, or you're backing off is, okay, I did all these 12-hour days, and then you just backed down to just 8-hour days, you never go further down, you're out of balance.
Yeah.
But if you're doing this, if you average that, it's a nice straight balanced line. You get the balance, but in a battle balance way.
Yeah, I like that a
Meaning,
lot.
once you've put in a hard week, the world's not going to end when you fought that. There's going to be always stuff to go, I'm taking an extra day off right now and spending with my family. I'm taking these 6 hours. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. The other thing that I say to do is to steal time every day. This is my own personal belief. People can get mad at me. I think quality time's a myth. I think even in the midst of the fight, you got to have whole days where you rest and you get this. But to maintain relationships with your kids and everything, I don't think even if you did 12 hours, you have to have at least 15, 20 minutes with your kids every day. Every day. That's not hard to find. Mm-mm. Some people say, well, I got all day with them one day. Well, have you ever tried to spend all day with a 5-year-old? They get bored, they focused on you a little bit, then they're off into their own world, then they're not there,
it's
and you're
little
like
intervals.
And you even know they've checked out on you. You're not spending all day.
Right.
I go, if you focused on doing something for a half an hour with your young kids every day, what do you want to do? Just made it fun and really engaging and all that, and you did that every day, I don't think you even have to have the 6 hours straight.
Right.
Because they're going to remember that 30 minutes.
Yeah,
they're going to remember that.
important.
And so I did the same thing with
What
my
do you call
wife
that?
and I.
Stealing time?
Yeah, you got to steal some time every day.
Yeah.
It's kind of like even in the middle of the fight. When my dad was in a foxhole, they still had to eat. You still had to go to the bathroom.
Yeah.
And you might not have had the enjoyment of doing it at a refreshing level that you did before, but you figured it out. You had to do something. Wow. Like you know what I call it? What he did, the most important thing he said when he was especially in Korea and stuff, even in the battlefield, you're on the lines. Yeah, you might not be in hand-to-hand direct, but the fire called out, you're still there. He goes, he always said, change your socks every day. Change your socks every day. Because one of the worst things in combat is you get that trench foot, you get it's like they get wet, they get this. You get a nice dry pair of socks on, and it helps you. And that's what I think everyday time with your family.
Yeah.
It may not be, hey, I want some more focused time. It would be nicer. But if I change the socks every day, we'll be okay.
Yeah.
We'll be okay.
That is super tactical practice. That's great advice. That's awesome. So let me ask you this question. Was Rock Point, that's amazing. I didn't know your dad served in all three.
Yeah.
That's incredible. Was Rock Point successful out of the gate, or was there ever a time where you hit a financial low point that you had to stay faithful?
Great task. We launched successful by the day, but all the guys that I've coached up, the 6 churches we've launched in the last 2 years, all had larger launches than we did. And 25 years ago, we were the largest launch in the history of our movement of churches.
You guys were in the beginning?
I feel like I'm getting to coach during the steroid era of church planting. These guys are all we were number 1 on the list for 20 years, and in the last 4 or 5 years, we've been knocked down to number 8.
Where is this? There's data on this somewhere?
Well, yeah, in our movement of churches, we know typically if a church launches, it used to be we launched and had 330 people our first weekend.
Okay.
That was huge.
Yeah, that does seem big.
Yeah, and our last few churches have the smallest one launched at 500.
That's crazy.
And now you do shrink. The data is you typically, because you get everyone it's a big hype. People want to come check it out. Typical numbers say you drop in the next 8 weeks to roughly 50% to 65% of what your launch was. That's why we tell people you should launch larger. Because if you're like, hey, we launched with 100 people, there's a good chance you're at 50 in 8 weeks. And 50 people, it's really hard to do a weekend service and run a children's ministry and all that with 50 people.
Yeah.
So
yeah, that's terrifying. So what's happened? I had you on the show a few months ago. What's happened since the big plant that I've got to experience being a part of Rock Point with you guys is the Echoes plant, which was the most successful.
Yes,
the most people.
It might be one of the most successful that we know of
ever.
Yes.
Was there 2,000 people that went?
About 1,500.
Wow.
And they launched it over 2,000.
So when that moment came, and the way I watched you lead that, and we encouraged and we prayed for Echoes and we did all and then to watch all the people leave, that's when I really had a lot of admiration, and that's when I was like, oh, I'm with Rock Point. I want to be, not that it's like Echoes Rock Point, it's all spreading Jesus, but I was like, no, this is where I want to be. Like the fact that we're serving from that capacity of abundance where we're like, no, let's keep making it and growing. What's happened since then? Like, are you?
Well, to back up, and that's a great lead in to answering the question about did we hit hard times, especially financially.
Yeah. Sorry.
And no.
Yeah.
That was one of, we've hit hard 3 times that we've had really tough times. Launching them actually triggered our most recent really hard time.
Wow.
Because when we sent them, we knew we'd sent a lot, and I knew I could encourage a lot of people to go, but 1,500 was even more than what my finance team and everyone thought. They thought about 800 to maybe 1,000 would go, and but 1,500 went, and it wasn't even the 1,500 people, because in the year since they left, we grew almost 2,000 people. So we replaced the people already, really fast.
That's insane.
Which I knew we would.
Yeah.
The problem is we sent good people. And so about $2.5 million in giving. So it's a little over $200,000 a month. So, almost $50,000 a week, $40,000 a week went. And so that, when they left, it immediately dropped. And the problem with that was they left 6 months earlier than they were supposed to. Because when I launched it, we talked about it, and I said, now start having interest meetings to build up everybody who's going to come. He'd already been talking to people, but now it's fully do this. He realized as he started full on with that interest meeting and started to have core meetings, so many people went. He was so large, he needed to start because there was only one place available to rent that would even fit them. And it had come open, the high school they went to, and they needed to agree to take it then, or they wouldn't have a place to go. So he left 6 months. He wasn't supposed to leave till like September of that year.
Wow.
So the problem was we sent all that money out in January, and right there at the end of January, we finished our new children's building.
Beautiful building.
Which we needed to build before we can expand the sanctuary.
Right.
Because if we expand the sanctuary, we have more room to get the adults, so giving can go up. But if we don't have the children's building, we turn people away. So it was a catch-22. What do you do?
Yeah.
So we decided to build the building that it cost us money, but doesn't necessarily get us any more room to grow. And so we thought, in our judgment, if we do that, we get ready, we send him, we finish the building, we send him a little while later. He'll leave, we'll have more room to grow, but we'll have more stability. Well, he left right when that building got done. So we don't have the seats, we don't have that. The building was finished, and that was a $150,000 a month payment.
That building was $150,000 a month?
Yeah.
Wow.
Building costs got so expensive. That building,
everything's
our
gone
sanctuary,
up.
the big, nice sanctuary,
Yeah.
that building cost the same as it cost to build that 5 years ago.
Holy cow, that's insane.
Yeah, and so when we finished it, so if you factor in $250,000 a month went out, and about $150,000, it was about $200,000, I think, was everything.
Plus, you took on $150,000.
We did about a $450,000 swing in our outflow and our inflow.
That's very different from the living lean, getting by days.
So
That's
400. That's $5 to $6 million we're going to be short, between what left and what we needed.
Were you afraid?
Well, yeah. Well, I knew there was the potential of that going in.
Yeah.
And everyone was freaking out. And I was like, well, I've done this before.
But when it hit, was there a moment where you're like, oh gosh, did we make a mistake?
Yeah, we hit a moment that it got so bad because we knew going in that when we sent him, it was going to cost us. So we had saved for it.
Okay.
We had about $2 million saved.
Oh, good.
But we were on pace at $2 million, and you're about $400,000 a month short.
Dude, that's like 5 months.
Yes.
Yeah.
So we knew we're not going to make it to Christmas.
Holy cow.
At this pace.
What year was that? Was that 20?
That was this is last year.
25.
Yeah, just 25.
Oh my gosh.
And so we got to a moment that my finance team had recommended, if we're not going to do anything with our 18 other acres in the next few years, 5 years, we should sell it. Because we had people have come and shown interest in it. And I was not of the mind to do that. But my executive pastor was also. And we were like, maybe we should. So we decided, and he's like, yeah, we got to do something. I go, you know what we got to do? We got to pray. And let's get our elders, our finance, and our pastors and our young pastors. I wanted some of these young guys to come in this moment. And we're just going to share what's going on. And we're going to talk about maybe the potential, what we should maybe do. And then we're going to pray for a while. And so we had this meeting that we just were open about it, honest, and prayed. My young guys were crazy. They came and said that was probably the best leadership meeting I've ever been in.
Oh, I bet
they were blown away, like how we talked to them. Because even Dave was like, I think we should sell it. I go, I'm not sure. And I go, but you know what I think we should do is we're not going to be able to sell it immediately. It takes time.
Right.
I say we pray, we see what we're doing, and we explore the possibility of what would somebody give us for that land.
Wow.
And I would tell you guys right now, if we don't get a major chunk of money that doesn't just buy us time, but actually moves us forward, like if someone would offer us a ridiculous amount, like we thought, we were pretty sure we get $3 to $4 million for it, maybe.
Wow.
But I'm like, I wouldn't want to sell it unless we get 6 to 8, because then not only does it buy us time, we could put a couple million into savings more. We could that would actually cover the seat. If we could get enough for this land that it buys us time and builds the seats that we need and do all that, and maybe throws $1 million into our church planting movement of other leaders. If we could do something like that, if it doesn't thrust us forward, if we only sell it for enough to buy us more time, I don't think we do it.
It's a mistake, yeah.
But let's explore. And then we actually just went forward, and what we figured out is I kind of looked and I go, wait, it's interesting that it dipped a little more right around September. And we changed our whole database, and that included our financial stuff, and they'd switched it over. But for a certain amount of time, the recurring giving, which is about 80% of our people, sign up and do recurring.
Yeah.
And you only had a certain amount of time that it would feed over, and then it shuts off. What's funny is everyone came back and says, man, it got even worse in September. And I'm like, what? They go, we were doing better, and then it got worse, and now it looks bad. And I was like, wait, what? And then I kind of went in, and I'm not even the finance guy. That's just my weird personality. I was like, someone told me they had a hard time switching it over. And I went, hey, did we have a lot of people that dropped off that didn't get it switched over?
Yeah.
No, we made it so clear. We announced it 1 million times. And there is an issue. When you have the person leading the charge on that, they're good technically.
Yeah.
They think everything's easy.
Right.
I go, no. Think about someone like me. And I'm like, all right, we'll go check. We discovered there was 400 people that dropped off the reoccurring giving starting in September.
Holy
that
God.
had not re-upped it.
Not intentional, just because they couldn't
Not
figure out the
intentional.
new system. Like
They either didn't forget.
clear.
Yeah, and there were some were like that, that gym membership that you just don't want to bother to go in and cancel.
I'll be honest.
And then
I
something
stopped
changes.
serving for a little while during that time because I couldn't figure out my A or B week anymore. Like as a greeter, I couldn't figure. I was like, what happened to the thing?
Yeah, exactly. So that's exactly.
Because
See
I'm
what I
like
mean?
that,
We had a lot of
I
that.
was
That's what I mean. People are like us, and I'm
I
like,
start showing up random weeks. They're like, what are you doing here? I'm
I can't figure this out. And so that was the problem. And so we needed to back up. And so we literally called everybody. And then I talked about it in one of the services and said, if you need help right now, go out there. And we got 370 of them back like that.
Holy cow.
And then it started to realize, now we're actually ahead of the game. We started to meet our budget, and we literally ended 2025 1.4% year over year higher than we were the year before.
That's amazing.
It was tight, but we
What
didn't
does it take as a leader with everybody watching you and your family watch? I mean, and you're at a point where, I mean, you kind of, it's not like you're in the beginning and you made a mistake. You're like well into this thing, and it's not that it was a mistake. It wasn't a mistake.
No.
It ended up being one of the best things to be a part of. But like, what does it take to have resilience through a season like that? Like, how do you still lead
I think
and
we
give?
were able to do that and inspire people because of all the other previous times.
You've
Success
been through it
because
before.
the people that they've watched us do it.
Yeah.
So I build trust. They trust the Lord, but you also got to trust people.
Right.
You got to trust the leaders.
Yeah.
And I think that I've got 25 years of experience of we've come to these moments, and the people have been around a lot. I go, hey guys, here we go. I just go, here we go again.
Yeah.
And remember what happened last time, and here we are. And when you do that, you get some.
That's cool.
You get some confidence in what you do.
Yeah.
And so that's why if you go all the way back to our first few times, it was harder earlier, even though it was less. This was the biggest I've ever faced, but for some reason it was not as stressful. It's kind of like working out.
Yeah.
Like I lift more weights now. I'm stronger than I used to be.
Yeah.
But it's still hard,
Right.
but it's bigger. But if I tried to lift this back 20 years ago, I'd die.
Right.
And so it's the same thing as you build it up. As you have success and you build that strength. It doesn't get any. You still because we're expected to grow. We're trying to push it, and so we're always pushing it. The other weird thing is some churches or leaders, you get to that point that, all right, I finally lifted this weight. I'm comfortable with this weight. I'm just going to stay here. I see it all the time. When I used to go to the gym all the time, I saw this guy. He was always there when I got there, and when I was leaving, he was still in the gym. And I was in the gym for 5 years. I go, this guy doesn't look any different. He is still kind of overweight. He doesn't look like he's in good shape.
Yeah.
And so I actually started paying attention to him when I was in there. And he would talk and hardly ever work out. He just developed friendships. And he'd go over and he'd do this weight on a machine, and I'd watch him do this machine. I go, he's done the same weight since forever.
For 5 years.
For 5 years.
That's crazy.
And I'm like, he's just comfortable.
Yeah.
And so I think what you do is you got to lift, you hit those hard moments, you navigate through them and trust and team and all the steps you need to do, be a good leader and make the right decisions. And then that doesn't prepare you to make it easy. That prepares you like, well, now I'm ready to try something harder. Because if you back up, another great period of time that hit us hard, this was one of the biggest at the time, was we were supposed to build our buildings in late 2008 going into 2009. We were going to start building them and have them built by like mid 2010. And right near the end of 2008, that whole collapse. Yeah. And I don't know if you remember, but Queen Creek, that area out there became foreclosure capital of the entire United States.
Yeah.
And that was the only time our church started shrinking, going backwards, because the area wasn't growing and people were leaving. And I had probably one family, a minimum of one family per week, that came up to me and said, hey, this is our last week, we're moving.
Holy
cow. And that was just the people that bothered to come tell me.
Wow.
Because I go, why? Because we had a lot of people back then that were in construction, and they were like the ones that were like project managers and stuff. And so their companies that were national, the ones that had national companies, are like, we got nothing for you in Arizona. But that, if you don't remember that whole financial break, it didn't affect Texas. Texas kept growing through that.
Yeah, not every market.
Oil was high. Texas was the only part of the United States that did not get hit by that.
Wow.
So I had, and these guys that are the project managers, they make good money. They're some of my primary key people.
Yeah.
And they were all moving to Texas. And so we went down backwards, and then we already had been approved for a loan that we could pay for to build a building. And I started reading how they're freezing loans. They're just not even, banks are just shutting down even qualified loans. And I asked my exec at the time, I was like, hey, do we still have a loan? Are we still going to move forward with getting this building planned and built now? And he goes, yeah, why not? I go, well, just because I'm hearing that they're freezing loans. He goes, and then he comes back the next day, he goes, you know, it's funny. I was thinking about it. I go, they were calling us every week because we got the loan approved before we were ready to go because the town was holding us up on something. And he was like, they've been calling every week. Are you ready to do this loan? Are you ready to do this loan? We want to lock it in. We want to lock it in. He goes, they haven't called in like 3 weeks. And I go, better call him.
Holy cow.
So he called him. Guy didn't answer. Didn't call him back for 3 days. And he goes, I'm so sorry I waited 3 days because I tried everything to get us to approve your loan, but we're frozen. We got nothing. We went through 22 lending organizations that all said, you actually, your numbers, you qualify for this loan. We just don't have it.
Whoa.
So we went into a holding pattern. And that area shrunk, and we got hold of it. We couldn't build, and it was like, what is going on? And then it was the only time that I had to lay people off. We actually had to contract.
Oh, man. Ouch.
And it was, that's the one time I think I preached angry a little bit.
You were mad at God?
I just mad because I just wanted to yell at the people that had been in our church the whole time, and I knew they loved the Lord, but they just didn't give. And I was like, and you still have your job.
Yeah.
And I didn't say anything wrong.
Yeah.
I didn't say anything unbiblical. But it was my heart that was angry.
Yeah.
And I think I wasn't maybe a little mad, not mad, I got just confused.
Yeah.
And that taught me a lesson. Just don't, as my wife likes to say, I had to learn, you got to keep a thick skin but a soft heart.
Wow.
Heart has to stay soft. The skin has to get thick, not the other way around.
Yeah, that's experience in a seasoned vet who's been through.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that set up these other ones. And there's been a few other little times. I mean, early on, like I said, I only raised so much support. There was times that my accounting team, my money person that we brought, she would go get the giving.
Yeah.
And we're like, if it's not at least this much, I don't get paid this week.
Gosh, that is crazy.
We had moments like that early on.
Yeah.
And I think people out there
You're
relate.
like,
if you've
literally
started a
sitting at
business,
table where someone's counting out, and you're like,
then she's counting. I go, "Am I getting paid?" She goes,
my
"Yes,
gosh.
we got it by like $10. You're fine."
Wow. Well, people in sales can relate to that, right?
That's what I mean.
Yeah,
if you're
like
in sales, or even if you're
yeah.
starting a business, like overhead, getting it going, like we're not turning a profit. I can't pay myself.
Yeah. Right. You're the last one to get paid. You're
I mean,
take a
some
check.
people started coming and the money comes in,
Yeah.
and what they choose is pay themselves and not pay vendors, not pay this. That's a bad business plan.
Right.
Because you're not going to have a business.
Yeah.
So your plan is, if you're going to do it that way, you should probably start looking for what you're doing next. Because you're not going to have you're going to get shut down.
Right. Talking about relationships, I mean, you're losing your relationship equity.
Bingo. Yeah, you're not going to be able to do it. Yeah. So
That's incredible. So we went through a tough time here about 10 years ago, and when I watched, taking it back to the Echoes plan, I didn't ask a single question on here, but I'm having so much fun on it.
this is going.
So when we went to the Echoes, and this is kind of where I want to close and see if we can talk about this.
Yeah.
When I watched what happened with Echoes from being a person that went to Rock Point,
Yeah.
I mean, I was like blown away. I'm going, this is the coolest thing. I'm like, there's no way I could ever leave this church. Like, this is awesome to watch what we're doing here as a church.
Yeah.
But I was nervous even. I'm going, Daniel was the first pastor we saw preach at Rock Point, and brought us into Rock, like got us actually from watching online to coming in. And then we heard you preach, and we loved both, but there was definitely this kind of dynamic you guys had of like, you were kind of like the throat punch, and then Daniel kind of came in with like this. It almost like made you like there was moments where we'd go to Rock Point and like Daniel would walk out and be like, okay, we're not gonna get like, it's gonna be a little easier. Like not and I love Daniel's preaching. It was awesome. And we love both, right? Like we're there at Rock Point because we want to be held accountable. That's what we want. But when he left, I was like, we're only gonna have the throat punch sermons. What's gonna happen? But you can tell that's not what happened at all. That your leadership skills and cultivating pastors, what we've seen through. First of all, we love when you preach. Like when you walk out, everybody's like, oh, cool, we got Bill. But then, you got Hunter, you got Jonesy, and these guys have stepped up and filled roles that are like, I mean, Daniel was a solid number 2 pastor. So when he left, I was like, who's going to be, the number 2? You can't preach every week.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, I guess you could, but, and we love your preaching. I mean, we get a lot out of it.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the first time I'm tithing, first time I'm serving in my life. So it's motivated us to want to get in the fight and get in the game. But man, seeing what you've done with these younger pastors is so cool.
Yeah.
Like some of the messages I've heard at the beginning of this year with the 2 guys while you were in Africa was incredible.
Yeah.
So I'm like more excited about Rock Point now than when we first started going.
Yeah. So if you notice what happened, and if people are aware, Daniel was my teaching pastor.
Yeah.
He left a year ago, and we believe in holding our church like this. Like we're managers or stewards, not owners. And it's about people. It's about what God wants. It's about the kingdom. And so we believe as we grow, we send. And we've started a lot of churches. Well, Daniel was a unique one, and then being a good teaching pastor, I've been there. He left a year ago and took 1,500 people with him. And we sent them. I encouraged people to go. And then what you're saying is, I actually was one of my concerns. Like people were concerned, like he's really good. Are we gonna have to go hire another teaching pastor?
Yeah.
And I go, because are we ready with these young guys? And I thought all of them were good, but are we ready to have 4 of them in a row? That was the problem.
Yeah.
Because right after we announced Daniel was going to go, I went on an 8-week sabbatical, and he preached 7 of the 8 weeks. I had no problem with that.
Yeah.
But you're right. But also one of the concerns was, I was a little bit. I always tackled the hard topic.
Yeah.
And if you've noticed, one of the things that changed is I've backed off. I don't have to be that way. I've been much more, not just always throat punch.
No, it's not.
And because I knew that Daniel had a harder time with the throat punch.
Right. So you had to carry
So
the kind
I would do that.
Yeah.
And I still do it with these guys. But Jonesy actually has the ability to punch it pretty hard too. So I'm not as worried about him.
But he's got like a unique, like he's so comical and
Yep.
like so easy.
And so I still have my style and I always try to find guys that'll balance my style a little bit too. Because I do lean more towards, hey, there's the hill, we're going to go take it.
Right.
I mean, I was raised by a professional athlete war hero. I mean, that's going to tell you a little bit something about how I'm wired.
Yeah.
And so, but I do soften up. I know how to do that.
Yeah.
But I also like to balance it. And Daniel was that balance that I learned, okay, I'm going to have to back off that. But what's interesting is you should go watch Daniel now. Because everyone said, like some people went with Daniel because, like, well, he didn't talk about money. Some of them have come back already. It's like, man, he talks about money so much.
Yeah.
You know why? Because he's now the one that has to do it.
Yeah.
It wasn't that he didn't agree with it. He just knew that I was the one that would do it.
Right.
You should hear him. He is like done a really good job of hitting it. He's had to hit all the hard things now.
Wow.
Now, I did notice if you're there for a while, I gave him a lot of the weird topics, not necessarily difficult, just weird ones.
Yeah.
And he's always like, why do I have to? I was like, well, because I'm gone and that's a good place to put it.
Yeah.
So I'm the one that does all the throat punches. You're going to handle the weird topic.
That's awesome.
And
he did a really good job with that. I love Daniel.
Yeah. So he's had to grow and learn.
Yeah.
And his prayer thing is like, who does he have to back him up?
Yeah.
And now he's figuring out who he brings up in balance of who he is. And so, but yeah, that's kind of the thing. And I would say, in any kind of business, any kind of leadership, any kind of thing, this brick by brick, if you're going to build anything, build people.
Yeah.
Now, if you got the type of business that you never really need a whole team, then build the people that you're trying to, like, instead of customers, think of them as people you serve.
Yeah.
And yeah, you get paid for it, but if you don't believe, if you're selling something or offering a service and you don't believe it actually adds value to people, I don't know how you sell it.
Yeah.
I go, if you're just doing it to make money, it's not going to be fulfilling and it's not going to be helpful for the person, because if you're just doing it to make money, you're going to try to angle your way to go, how do I get maximum purchasing from them instead of matching them with what they need? And that's where I think I'm talking like a business guy, because I learned this in ministry, but it's the same thing.
Yeah.
And I've noticed it leading a church. I notice it when I go to deal with people on business, like I would do business with you. I know you. I go, hey, this guy really does care.
Yeah.
I can spot it. If you've been in it, you spot it as like, this guy's just trying to sell me something.
Right. Yeah, you can sense
You
it.
are not, and I'll do that even on little things. I'll be like, a little thing. It's like, wait, this guy, I can tell he genuinely cares and is not trying to upsell me. I was like, I might not even been in the mood to go, I know I kind of need this, but I don't need it right now. But you know what? I want to do business with him. So I'm going to buy this.
Yeah.
And that's what I think, and people don't understand in sales, is the best way to be a good salesman is to believe in what you're selling, but also understand that I am serving this person relationally. My goal is to take care of them. And when you do that, lo and behold, it ends up taking care of you and your family.
Powerful.
But put the right thing first, wouldn't you think?
Right.
And you know what's funny is, how does a pastor know that? Because I would challenge anyone that doesn't go to church. The Bible teaches this stuff.
Yeah.
Because there is a God who wrote it, and he understood human nature. And there is philosophy and stuff written in the Bible thousands of years before Plato and Aristotle. And if you go read the words of Solomon, you will see how much more wise it is, and you'll realize this is 900 years before those guys walked the earth. Matter of fact, I'm starting a series on it here right after Easter.
Cool.
Yeah, we're calling it Never Enough.
Nice.
Because Solomon, when he's old, writes a book in the Bible where he talks about, this guy's the richest man. They say by today's money, he would be worth about $2 trillion.
That's insane.
And so he wrote about, in this book called Ecclesiastes, that, meaningless, everything's chasing the wind, and it's him older now. Because when he was younger, he knew the Lord and trusted him. Then he started to wander, and he says, I'm going to go find out this meaning and power in life. And so he went after all these things. He chased them. And you know what? He had the money to do anything he wanted. And it's really interesting. This is from thousands of years ago, 3,000 years ago. And if you read chapter by chapter, what we're going to unpack is everything he chased is exactly what everyone still chases today. He said, I went after pleasure, found out chasing the wind. I went after even work, projects like building, and he built entire cities. And he goes, it wasn't that it was bad. It was like still chasing the wind. He went after sex and appetite, stuff like that, chasing the wind. He even has a little short thing that he talked about power, and we'd call it politics, chasing the wind. And the whole key to that is he said in there, in the very beginning, he says, God planted eternity in the hearts of men, but we still don't understand what God's doing from one moment to the next. And that's the whole key to that whole book, is what he's saying is the reason it's never enough, the reason we always want more. You would think if you come to church that the preaching would be, it's wrong for you to want more. No, the desire for more is not the problem. It's what you're trying to get it from is more of temporary things, temporal things that don't last, can never fill the heart that had eternity planted in it. Wow. It meant God built us for eternity. He designed us for eternal things. So more money, more sex, more fun, more experiences, more political power, more relationships, bigger business, bigger house, bigger buildings. Those aren't bad things in and of themselves. But if you think that that is the thing to chase after in life, you will never have enough. And it's meaningless. And when he got to the end of the book, his final chapter was what he realized and came back to. He says, so I challenge you, remember your Creator in the days of your youth before you're old and set in your ways, and look back and say, I pretty much blew it. Wow. Pretty much blew it. And I think it's the same if you're starting a business. There's wisdom in that.
That's amazing.
There's wisdom in that.
My last question was going to be, what advice would you give to somebody building a business? And so you totally wrapped it up perfect.
That's what I would give them the advice is,
That's
hey,
awesome.
Remember your Creator and understand that you put it's people first, and it's believe in what you're doing for them and connect those two. Connect, I want to help this person, and I believe I have something that'll help. And match what you're selling or what you're doing to where they're at. Don't try to get maximized to what you want.
Right.
And I think if you do that faithfully, Solomon actually talks about that. You build wealth one day at a time in a proper way. Get rich quick always is a bad idea. And get rich quick is, I'm going to oversell, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. And you don't see them. It's weird. It's almost like a legalized version of trying to scam someone.
Yeah.
It's like, do you see him as a mark? That's a mark for me.
Yeah.
Or do you see him as, that is someone I am called to help? And when I help them, they help me.
That's awesome. Bill, thank you so much.
Thank you.
I'm so glad you came, man. Thanks for being the first guest here. I appreciate it.
Thank you. It's fun. It's an honor.